Up a little bit here, guys, and come over to here. All right, we're just going live on Rumble now, so I'm gonna restart a little bit here. But guys, this is exciting. We have a exciting show to show you. I'm gonna kind of go back to this screen right here. Arctic frost buying 160 Republicans, 160. Just think about that. Just like the first incredible spying operation of Spygate, FISA-gate, Russia-gate, whatever you want to call that, where they spied on Trump based on the fake Russia narrative. Now you have a brand new bombshell from Tulsi, right? About another topic about Russia and how they were going to bribe Hillary Clinton if she got in. They had all kinds of dirt on Hillary Clinton, and we'll be digging into that as well. But 160 Republicans. So now Biden was spying, which was actually Obama's third term, right? That's really what was going on here. So let's dig into some breaking news. By the way, the second hour of this, as we empower Christian Patriot Truth, will be Word and Worship. Again, that'll only be on the Rumble and Faith and Freedom Word and Worship channel. So it's not on the Blessed Teach channels because of licensing of the music. We've moved that over. It's beautiful music. You're going to hear about Jericho. And another prophecy is all about the curse on Jericho and how another fulfilled prophecy shows the reliability of the Bible. All that's going to be after the show in the second hour on around 6:15 p.m. CST on the Word and Worship channel. So make sure you're following that and subscribing to the Word and Worship channel. It's Word with the N, Worship, right there on the screen, as well as you can see that live on the live channel on the Word and Worship Faith and Freedom TV. All right? Okay, let's get into this breaking news. So here's Trump saying, these thugs should all be investigated and put in prison. A disgrace to human deranged Jack Smith is a crime. And he's pointing right to the Just the News article. And this is John Solomon again, Just the News. Great guy to follow. He was the one all during on the Hannity show with Sarah Carter and on John Solomon getting all the scoop all through the 4 years of Biden and things that were being, bombshells that were being dropped there, seeding what's happening now, right? They were giving little seeds on here's all the corruption that was going on in the stolen election, the J6, what all the spying that was being done, and now all more D-classes coming in. I'm not sure exactly how Sarah's involved now. I was with her on the bus on the Tom Holman tour with Amanda and Chris and Gus when we were there in a couple of years ago, and it was cool to meet Sarah. And to tell you, the scoop is coming though. The D class is happening, right? And so this is let's dig into this article. This is the article by John Solomon. More than 160 Republicans potentially investigated in FBI's Arctic frost probe, the House panel says. So the GOP-led House Judiciary Committee disclosed that more than 160 Republicans, including many connected to President Donald Trump. Surprise! Let's see how this. It's one thing about doing on 8 or 9 people that we learned about, but 160? Are you kidding me? This is basically Spygate number 2, is what we're finding out. Is not only was there Spygate all the way through using the Russia fake hoax to try to keep Trump from becoming president, then sabotage his first presidency, and then put him in jail during the Biden administration. And now they were trying to find dirt with the 160 Republicans in Biden's term, which was actually Obama's third term, right? They were targeted for possible investigation during the Biden Justice Department's Arctic frost investigation. The committee tweeted that recent review documents show the Arctic frost investigation appears more wide-ranging than initially believed in Biden's DOJ efforts to take down President Trump and his supporters. This is a complete coup of the country, and that's now continuing to this day, right? It started in 2015 when he came down the escalator, and it continued all the way to now, and that's 10 years later, guys. I mean, just think about that. It's like, oh my goodness, that's almost exactly 10 years, and we have the same criminals of the deep state trying to take out Trump. That only God could have kept him alive, could have had him win those 2 times. Actually, it was 3 times, but and now we have all the dirt. As I read last time, if you missed I spent a ton of time, over an hour, reading a thread of 120 drops yesterday that I think you would really love. All the details about what happened in 2020 election, exactly how they did it, and how 2024 was saved. So don't miss that from yesterday's show. The nearly 200 pages of documents provided new insight into the sweeping investigation aimed at Trump World, which was launched by the FBI under then Director Chris Wray and later picked up from former DOJ Special Counsel Jack Smith under the Attorney General Merrick Garland. The committee, led by Representative Jim Jordan, said that 45 individuals, including former Trump White House advisor Steve Bannon, you got Scott Perry, you got New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, former Trump DOJ Jeffrey Clark, former Trump attorney John Eastman, and former Representative Mark Meadows, RNC, were potentially under investigation. The GOP-led committee argued that another 111 individuals, including Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro, Trump senior advisor Dan Scavino, former Trump DOJ Jeff Rosen, and current DOJ weaponized czar Ed Martin were also potentially under investigation. Now, I said potentially under investigation. This is going to be real interesting as this gets proved out. It's going to be, woo! The new records reveal the internet threat tags used by the FBI for the investigation included fraud, corrupt, PC corrupt, and the PC corrupt _ camp. The newly released documents also include FBI predication for making various people targets of the investigation. The new records include a declassified October 2020 tactical intelligence report from the FBI Washington field office, which claimed that Trump campaign funds layered through clearinghouses firm likely misused by the campaign digital director. The newly released FBI emails from May of 22. So this is May of 2022. Get your timing here on this Arctic frost. So a redacted official from Washington field office saying thank you again and again and again for your help in interviews in Arctic frost. The message was sent to many different regional FBI field offices. The one unidentified FBI official sent an email remarking that everything related to the Arctic frost investigation is restricted inside the FBI systems. Another FBI Washington field office email that month said the Arctic Frost team is requesting approximately $16,600 from PCU, that's the Public Corrupt Unit, for travel in June to conduct more than 40 interviews, served subpoenas, and execute several cellular device search warrants. So they're looking at their cell phones. They're looking at their emails. This is exactly what they did with the FISA. Now they're doing it through the FBI, right? It's really crazy. The attached documents listed out dozens of GOP-linked officials from Arizona, Virginia, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and New Mexico. A record from September 2022 was titled Subpoena Council Matrix and listed dozens of GOP-linked activists, public officials, purported electors, and government employees allegedly tied to events surrounding the 2020 election. So this is like them. This is the cover-up of the J6 was part of the false flag cover-up of the stolen 2020 election, and now we're seeing the cover-up of that continued all the way through. How do we, they put Navarro in jail, they put Bannon in jail, and they were using lawfare to hopefully get Trump in jail, doing anything to stop this, to stop the God-ordained man. It's not going to happen, and they tried to take him out with a bullet when they couldn't do it. Thank the Lord for the protection and the continued protection of him, that we need to continue to shower him with our authority in Christ, with our prayers, right? The Jordan-led committee also publicly released on Tuesday letters from December 2022 from the leaders of the January 6th Select Congressional Committee. You see how this all comes into these same people in the Russia collusion, same people doing the cover-up of the 2020 election with the J6 false flag, to try to end those proceedings so it wouldn't go back for the 10 days of audit of the back in January 6th. That's what they should have done, is send it back to the states and have them audit their own records for 2022. And it was clear about that time that Pence had the power to actually go say, hey, these results are too tainted because of all the mail-in ballots and all these voting machine irregularities. Therefore, we're going to go back to the state legislatures, which would have made Trump president. But obviously, God had bigger plans to show us the disaster that would happen when you let a truly cabal-oriented administration run. And that's why I believe we kept Cheyenne Mountain and had to continue the continuity of government going while we showed people, because you can't tell them, you have to show them the disaster that Biden brought on us. And so this is some letters to the January 6th Select Congressional Committee headed up by Benny Thompson and former Liz Cheney, telling Smith that they want to make evidence we have gathered available to the Department of Justice. Cheney went on to endorse now former Vice President Kamala Harris in her unsuccessful race against Trump last year. And then other declass. This is declass. We've been talking about declass for so long, right? And we're seeing it now. Recent declassified revelations relate to Arctic Frost Chronicle, the 22 lawfare assault against then former President Trump and the MAGA world. Remember that we know that we may have had a bunch of pardons done by Obama, and and there may be secret pardons that basically said everybody that was part of this criminal conspiracy is pardoned, right? But anything after that, and this is after Obama was out, obviously, right? And so the whole Obama pardons that don't, and then it looks like the auto pin pardons aren't going to hold either. So this is an exciting time, because we're seeing the criminals being caught doing completely non-constitutional, treasonous type activities to overthrow the government. And now, way more than Watergate. I mean, come on, Watergate was one place with some papers, right? This is like completely spying on everybody. And so, but anyway, what this Chronicle said in 2022 lawfare assault against then former President Trump and MAGA world as criminal inquiries, which would soon lead to criminal charges, spun into higher gear as Trump leaned toward running for president again. New evidence shows that Ray, Garland, and then Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco signed off on the launch of Arctic Frost inquiry into Trump related to the Capitol. And unearthed emails also show that Biden White House counsel office, this is important, coordinated it with anti-Trump FBI agent to hand over phones which had belonged to Trump and former Vice President Mike Pence. Arctic Frost also targeted dozens of GOP officials and organizations, according to the documents released earlier this year. The recent revelation that the FBI snooped on the phone records of Republican members of Congress during the January 6th investigation is bringing greater scrutiny to Ray and Smith. No kidding. These revelations are also putting the spotlight on former FBI agent Timothy Thibault, whom Republicans argue showed extreme anti-Trump bias, demonstrated a willingness to target Trump first in his first term, attempted to slow walk or block the FBI's investigation into Hunter Biden, and in early 22 helped spark the Arctic Frost investigation, later carried on by Smith, which led to criminal charges against Trump related to the Capitol riot. You can see this is big. This is Spygate number 2. Spygate number 2 being unearthed now. This is interesting. J.D. Vance addresses possible presidential run with Marco Rubio after Trump teases unstoppable ticket. VP says focus remains on current duties, calls Rubio his best friend in the administration. So there's talking about the Vance ticket with Rubio. Now Bannon's still beating that drum on the third term. And again, if all this corruption comes out, that is very possible, especially if there's military tribunals and all the treason is revealed. The 71 countries who have been, of 20 years of them rigging our elections with the selection machines is going to be, it will open up that possibility, I believe. J.D. Vance to hold Q&A at an Ole Miss Turning Point USA event. So I know Candace Owens is attacking the Turning Point and Erica and everybody, right? I think there's no question that there's fishy stuff, and we still need to keep our minds open and what happened and who really hated Charlie. And I don't even, even though, as you know, I'm a really pro-Israel from a biblical perspective. I'm also anti-Rothschild and anti-cabal. And so that I do not pass by that was likely a patsy. Tyler Robinson's shooting was likely a patsy. So and could have been Mossad oriented. I think it may have been, right? But again, the way Candace is going about this, talking about voodoo, and I did a full blog on this, right? of her aunt doing voodoo on people, and she actually having dreams of Charlie, the dead Charlie. Amanda placed that on parallel to what Saul did when he went to the witch of Endor to summon up the dead Samuel to get advice before he attacked the Philistines, right? God was not happy with that, and he lost his anointing completely after that, right? And so what Candace is doing is we need to pray for her. That's what we're talking about. And so that's why if you just look at what Lance Wallnau's talking about here, even with Tucker Carlson, this anti-Zionism movement is huge. Remember, God specifically talked about the land of Israel. He specifically talked about the bloodline of Abraham. And then we also have the salvation through Christ alone, which could include all those people. And the land doesn't really matter there. But those are three separate things. And there's really clear promises to all three of those parties. And they're different. He's going to restore and give the bloodline of Israel back the land. That's just really clear. Ezekiel 36-39, just read Romans 11. There's so much there. Replacement theology is a cancer that gets people to say, no, Christians and salvation is all there is, and they've completely replaced, and all the bloodline of Abraham has nothing to do with this, and neither does the land of Israel. That is craziness, absolute craziness. And you see Tucker Carlson tells Nick Fuentes he despises Christian Zionists more than anyone on earth, calling Christian Zionists a dangerous hearsay within Christianity. Again, if you're a Zionist, they've made that a pejorative term, but it really just means that you're a Christian that believes in Zion, which the Bible clearly says that God's going to restore Zion, right? And so they've turned that into a pejorative term. So Christians and many Jewish people are Zionists. But that term's been turned around, and it's really sad to see where Candace and Tucker have gone on this. He names Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, John Bolton, Karl Rove, and George W. Bush as examples. So now we could probably agree on the John Bolton and George, but to say Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz are despised any more than anyone on earth, he despises them more than Hamas. He despises them more than all these Muslims in Rwanda, killing people all over the whole Nigeria, where there's many Christians being. He despises them more than that. Mike Huckabee, a Christian who loves the Lord, Ted Cruz, worse than Hamas. That's what Tucker's saying. And you see here Lance Wallnau, who's on the Faith and Freedom platform, and I've just followed him and just think he's right on and is teaching so well. The 7 Mountains of Cultural Influence I really believe in, and I've been teaching on that. It's back to Psalms 2, 8 and 9. I think it's real important to understand that we need to take possession of the nations. That's what the Lord wants us to do. And so he says a Christian Zionist is a Christian who believes that the modern state of Israel and the Jewish people return to the land of Israel fulfilled biblical prophecies, and who actively support Israel's existence, security, and sovereignty on a theological grounds. That's what a Christian Zionist is. And Tucker Carlson clearly saying he hates us all.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton? I mean, I've known them all. George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I can just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody, because
I like them more than Hamas, right? Hamas is better than Mike Huckabee.
What? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian. That's why. So
and he's given a platform to an absolute person who hates all Jews, Nick Fuentes.
So I don't why not? I'm pissed at the neocons, very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq. And so I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz, because that seemed like There's a sitting senator who's like serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG, who's like the most sincere like, why not go after Ted Cruz? I don't understand. How do you
Yeah, so, and it's just, if you looked at his interview with Ted Cruz, I just thought that was incredibly disrespectful. And you know, and it's like and so here, in my opinion, this is something that we got to be careful. We can't split the whole MAGA movement, the whole movement of truthers between the Israel thing, right? We can agree to disagree on some things, right? We all know Mossad is as bad as the CIA, right? With infiltration, maybe even worse. We all know the Rothschilds are bad, right? There's so many people that we can agree on to know that are evil, and we need to put our all guns pointing there. And now we're pointing our guns at each other. Calling Mike Huckabee somebody that's some of the worst people in the world is a big problem that Tucker's getting into here, right? So here's some comments. I love it. Starsky Abraham saying, "Zion of the Holy One of Israel lives." Amen. I mean, you can call yourself a Zionist, so my real name is Mr. Abraham, right? I don't know what she meant really by that, but it's pretty cool to see. So by the way, if you're on your Backstage on Zoom, or you're on Rumble, or you're on Facebook, YouTube, I can post your comments up here. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Candace and Tucker and the division that's happening right now, and what are we going to do about that? Because we got the vice president going to TPUSA. You got the Trump supporting that. So how do we wrestle with truth and finding facts versus just becoming the spirit of Haman, right? Of where he wanted to destroy not just Mordecai, he wanted to destroy the entire Jewish race, right? That's that spirit of that same spirit got into Hitler and many others, and now it's spreading into the western area. It's like just really crazy. But understanding what a Christian Zionist really is, again, you believe that the modern state of Israel and the Jewish people return to the land of Israel, fulfill biblical prophecies. That's all over the Bible, right? And clearly Ezekiel 36-39, and who actively supports Israel's existence, security, and sovereignty on a theological ground. So theologically, we believe that land, you can go visit it. You can walk where Jesus walked. That land, he talks about, that land is going to be given back to the Israels. And it's going to be, and he even calls curses down on people that are going to try to divide it. So, I don't know. Biblically, I think we need to kind of stick with the Bible sometimes. And I wrote a full article on this. Candace Owens, Voodoo, Visions, and Biblical Warnings. And so this is just a look at what, in the light of what Amanda Grace went to the Lord with on Candace Owens and what she felt she was doing here. And so I've reviewed this, I think, a little bit already, but it's basically talking about her dream that she had that echoes Endor, the witch of Endor, right? He talks about her aunt being putting voodoo on anybody that talks against her. And then she talks about having a dream about Charlie giving her messages when he's dead. That is again, something that is very close to what happened in 1 Samuel 28, where King Saul's fateful visit to the medium at Endor. Saul, once anointed by God, had spiraled into paranoia and disobedience, rejecting the Lord's guidance. In his hour of crisis, facing the Philistine army, he turned not to prayer or prophets, but for forbidden arts. And so this is interesting, right? So make no mistake, Candace Owens has veered perilously close to this Saul-like path. That's why she's saying, Amanda's basically saying, we got to pray for her. Her dream of Kirk isn't a divine download, it's a counterfeit sign, as 2 Corinthians 11:4 warns that Satan masquerades as an angel of light to deceive even the elect. The enemy exploits our wounds. Owens' rift with Turning Point USA, her ousting of ideological clashes to sow discord and division. What begins as a quest for justice morphs into accusation, pulling her deeper into a vortex of suspicion and spiritual jeopardy. And that's what Amanda is basically warning. She's about ready to go down a very bad path, and she continues to go down it. It's a cascade of blame from personal to political, and here's a whole thing that talks a little bit more detail about this. But some things, she's even saying she has lost faith in politics and faith in Donald Trump, and why did Erica act like this? Why did this person act like that? And it's really interesting. And so what a call to prayer is what this ends with, right? Is that we just need to make sure that we pray hard for Candace Owens right now. Pray that her eyes are open, just like the New Testament Saul's did in the road to Damascus. Pray to tear down the walls of lies. She's also talking about she turned to Catholicism and calling all Protestants not very smart. She basically, oh, Charlie, you're too smart to be a Protestant. You need to become a Catholic. And many of her texts that she's showing lately are from years ago, right? So anyway, it's an interesting time period, and so I think praying for Candace is a great approach. Hey guys, as far as silver goes, did you see how just lately over the last couple of months it peaked up here above $54 an ounce? It's now come down into the 47.70 it's right now. So it's a great buy time, I believe, from a perspective of the all-time high and the trajectory of this, of what it's done the last 5 years. If you just look, you can just see how it's climbing, and because of all the demand for silver and all the ability for them not to hedge it as much with their shorts on it, right? Their derivatives are called. It could be a really good time to get some advice on how you can use precious metals. And that's why I just love Kirk, because they don't, you don't call to buy, you basically call to get a free consultation, right? And that's why you can call Kirk Elliott at 720-605-3900. Let them know Rick B2T sent you. They'll prioritize you. Again, get a free consultation at 720-605-3900. There's also a link down below in this video that you can fill out a form for them to give you a call back. But interesting times as we see, I believe is going to be a potential wealth transfer, as being this may be part of it, because many of us bought in the 20s, but I think it's going to be a 30, 60, 100 type potential thing when the Babylonian system crashes. Let me know what you guys think in chat about silver and what that could actually do. All right, here is the truth got darker than anyone imagined, and it's finally coming out. This is another bombshell. And this shows that Russia could have blackmailed Hillary at any time. Let's listen.
One of the most significant pieces of evidence that was revealed in that report we released yesterday is the fact that Russia claimed to have very, very damaging information, high-level DNC emails relating specifically to Hillary Clinton's physical and mental health, and DNC leaders questioning whether or not, if elected, she would even be capable of carrying out the duties of the presidency. Russia had this. If they wanted to swing the election for Donald Trump, they would have released it in September, October of 2016 at a pivotal time to swing momentum into Donald Trump's direction and damage Hillary Clinton's campaign. They did not do that deliberately. They understood that Hillary Clinton would likely be the inevitable president of the United States. They didn't think Trump could win, like a lot of other people. And so they were withholding this damaging information about Hillary Clinton and planning to release it in the days or weeks leading up to her expected inauguration, in order to once again sow chaos within the United States.
Yes. I see. Stasu, how do you pronounce that? Stasio Abraham actually saying, I love Tulsi. Again, she is endangered as well. We need to be praying for her, right? Give your authority to Christ and your ability to ask for angels and protection across Trump and the whole administration, including Tulsi, because she's releasing bombshells almost every week. And this is another big one, because it shows that the whole Russia thing is a complete lie. If they wanted Trump to win, they would have released all this damaging information on Hillary before the election. But they didn't. Right? They had it. they're going to use it to bribe her later. So we were saved from Hillary. The 8 years of Obama, the 8 years of Hillary was going to be a disaster, right? That was a 16-year plan to destroy America that Q alerted us to. And that God saved us in 2016 and 2024. And that's why I asked you to go back to yesterday's show if you missed it, on really digging into those 120 tweets that outline details about all the election fraud, how it was happened, and what they tried to do, and how we stopped them in 2024. Kamala thought she was going to win. We were going to have President Kamala, based on the same thing they did in 2020 in 2024. But that was stopped by a group of heroes, and it's going to be exciting when that all comes out, right? And Trump is just winning everywhere he goes. Here he secures a $350 billion trade deal with South Korea as he continues on his tour all over the place. Here's Trump's tweet saying, MAGA, never forget it or it will happen again. Right? I think that's very important. This whole spying of Trump in his campaign in 2015, 2016, and then the presidency all the way from 2017 all the way through 2021, and it didn't stop. And again, Fox News was in on it as the rhino of mainstream media, as Fox News actually wouldn't have Trump on the first 2 years. They tried to sink his career completely. But God, but God, right? Here's Trump saying, former FBI agent Gardena is a dirty cop. He should be, along with deranged Jack Smith, the sinister team of Lisa Monaco. Now he's basically mentioning all these people that were part of Arctic Frost, as well as the entire, this entire Spygate 2, if you will, right? He's just lists names. And Andrew Weissman, Little J. Bratt, Norm Easing, and his fake charity crew, Christopher Wray. And so I guess this guy Norm had a fake charity named Crew. And Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, Thomas Whidden, who dreamt up the corrupt J6 witch hunt, should be investigated immediately. They are a disgrace to our nations. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So here's Trump. Again, this is setting the stage. These are all probable people that are going to be indicted. And eventually, I believe, in military tribunals. That's what I think is going to be exciting. Here's Donald Trump. The more people learn about Madami, the less they like him. So this whole thing is interesting. So this is completely funded. He's funded by Soros. They've put millions of dollars into this. And now you got Andrew Cuomo. Conservatives are having to support Andrew Cuomo, but that's kind of where we are. But the money they've spent and the fact they still have the selection machines with the voter rolls in New York completely messed up, where they have so many automatically insertions. We found that out. I've reported on that before, of fake people all over those, and they can assign votes to those fake voter rolls. That's why this is a dual process. We can't just get rid of the machines. We also have to clean up the voter rolls, right? And go to one-day voting, voter ID, etc., right? Those are all vital things that have to happen. And will we get there by 2026? I don't know. Everything's been slower than we expect. Many people like Larry Ballard that are kind of newer into this movement are expecting huge things by this winter. But I'm just telling you, we have to be patient, guys. And this is going to be done in God's timing, and it's going to be biblical and way larger than we ever thought. I believe that our whole new world of best is yet to come. I know Kim Clement saw 2027 as a time that things really turned. So I really don't think that we necessarily will see massive changes before Christmas. I think we're just going to get more drip, drip, drip flood of D-class. And he wants us involved. And so let's call this down. I just pray that all this voter fraud information, and that we start uniting as a country around truth versus error. And that's why we have to, again, more independents are coming our way. Even Democrats are coming our way from a perspective of joining the MAGA, not the Republican establishment of crazy rhinos, right? We are seeing something that's amazing, and the great uniting is going to happen. The question is how fast, and I think we can speed it up, and by just using our authority in Christ and allowing the Lord to see us involved. He wants us involved, right? He says, "Church arise." I've been hearing a lot lately. Here's President Trump opens Asia trip by securing landmark wins for America. And there's a whole thing from the White House here talking about President Trump opens Asia trip, securing landmark wins for America. And this is such a great job. Listen to some of the things he did, like these peace deals. President Trump brokered the Kuala Lumpur peace accords. Thanks to decisive leadership, President of peace by the Trump administration, the leaders of Cambodia and Thailand joined President Trump in signing a historic peace agreement to end military conflicts between the two countries. Now, he did this, remember, because of the trade deals. So he signed a historic trade deal with the Malaysian Cambodia. He linked the reciprocal trade frameworks with Thailand and Vietnam. Critical mineral deals. This is a big deal because China had so many of them and it was cornering the market everywhere. They was going to use that as leverage in basically a war. And that's what China does, is they take you over from the inside out. President Trump signed transformation deals with Malaysia. President Trump signed a critical minerals deal with Thailand. And there's a lot of details about this. These are critical type things that allow us to sell things to them, as well as be able to get the minerals we need that will not allow China to do their blackmail, their financial blackmail. That is a big step. And here's another thing Trump put. President Trump brings home more billion-dollar deals during the state visit to the Republic of Korea. So everywhere he goes, he's treated like royalty. This is similar to the capitulation tour that he did in his first term. So in the second term, he's doing all these deals that are taking down the deep state control of our finances. He who controls all the finances and all the minerals, right, and does the manufacturing. What the deep state did is they started printing money like mad in China, way more than we were printing, and created a huge economy and started moving all the manufacturing there so they could control everything. And now that China is hurting, it's a glorious time. Here's another fact sheet from the White House about the billion-dollar deals, securing billions of exported and investments. Korea Air will purchase 103 new Boeing aircraft. ROK Air Force selected L3 Harris Technology to develop its new airborne warning and control aircraft. You got America's Re-Element Technologies, and POSCO International will partner to launch the U.S.-based vertically integrated rare earth separation, refining, and magnet production complex focused on high-value mobility magnets. Again, all these are big, huge tech-oriented things and or military protection type items. Further America energy dominance. The Korea Gas Corporation signed agreements to purchase 3.3 million tons of a year of U.S. LNG via long-term agreements and sellers. You got the Central Energy Corp and International Corp agreed to support the expansion of Centurus uranium enrichment. Again, these are all big deals coming to America. Alice Group pledged to invest $3 billion with a B by 2030 in U.S. power grid infrastructure. And then you've got the U.S. Promoting America's advantage in the technology revolution. So again, the first section of this was investments. The next was energy dominance. The next was technology revolution. And again, big deals being signed and bilateral science and technology cooperation agreements. And Amazon will invest $5 billion through 2031 to build Roke's cloud infrastructure. You got, I don't know if, and again, I don't like that one because that, Amazon is completely Jeff Bezos' Washington Post cabal, but it is U.S. based. And that's what Trump's doing here is he's basically expanding and allowing these companies to see that, hey, I can make you more successful than the cabal, right? Especially in the new world where they're losing so much power and I'm gaining the power. And all this is shifting the power from, if you will, the black hats to the white hats. And it's exciting to see. Both countries committed to stabilize the diversity of critical mineral supply chain through public-private collaboration. You got NASA's mission to take astronauts around the moon for the first time since Apollo. So they've agreed to all this stuff with Korea. So they're going to build maritime partnerships, reestablish American leadership. All this being makes it quite exciting to see Trump make all this progress. Here's Democrat shutdown will effectively shutter the EPA next week. So this whole shutdown thing, which may be a huge blessing, it may even be planned. If it goes to 61 days, they can furlough pretty much anybody he wants. Trump can fire everybody he wants, right? So I doubt the Democrats will take it past 61 days unless we, as the White Hats, have that much control, right? What do you think about that? What do you think about the shutdown? Because right now, the EPA administrator Lee Zeldin announced that the EPA may furlough up to 89% of its workforce if the government shutdown extends into November. Well, that's only 3 days away, right? So it looks like he's not even waiting for the 61 days. And but he's using the excuse that they're running out of money, right? So our preference would be for the shutdown to end, Zeldin said, warning of further furloughs if shutdown continues in November. Again, this is going to be really interesting, but this could be a huge benefit of our spending on things that just don't make sense, right? I love how Ladio saying, "God bless President Trump." Amen. We're looking exactly for blessings with him in many other days. But yeah, 61 days is really key. I think we're just about ready. I think it's 29 right now. So we're almost halfway there, right, to that 61 day, which is a real critical time period. So here it says, we have a whole bunch of pots of carrying funding, and as that carryover funding runs out, more of the total lapse plan ends up taking effect. Our preference would be for the shutdown to end. But again, this is something that is really hurting the Democrats more than the Republicans. So they're backfiring. The Democrats are completely panicking, and they're trying everything they can, and everything they can backfires on them. This reminds me of the book of Esther and Haman, right? Everything he did backfired on him, and he actually ended up hanging on his own gallows, right? And so this is wild, and you can see right here, Blaze Media and others just really putting this on Schumer. They call it the Schumer shutdown. Here's every time Senator Democrats voted to keep the government shut down. And so you have to get 60 people in the Senate, and 3 of them have moved over. I think Paul Rand is voting with the Democrats, right? So he's saying I don't want to open this up either, right? So Trump is not happy with Rand Paul, as well as Massey, and so he's going to be campaigning against them. I believe those guys are going to be out from their career-long career. I mean, they continues the political career, right? You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to come in, serve for 4, 6, 8 years, and then out, right? Not be there for 30 years and not ever have a job to understand what's going on in the real world. But nearly a month into the shutdown, Senator Democrats have refused to reopen the government over a dozen times. Even still, Democrats are pointing the finger at Republicans. Although Republicans hold the majority of both chambers, they need 60 votes here. And the Republicans hold 53. Again, you take out Rand, you're down to 52. You got 3 people coming over like Fetterman. So that gives you to 55. So they need like 5 more people, five more Democrats to come over, or Rand to come back over, right? And it's real interesting because if you look at this list, so this is Fetterman who's come over, which is real interesting. But the Republicans' funding bill is a clean and entirely non-ideological, while Democrats' hyper-partisan alternative boast a hefty $1.5 trillion price tag. Now, this is what makes you think there's control going on here, because the Democrats are doing everything to shoot themselves in the foot and to actually have health care for illegals in there as an example, and so many other crazy things. It makes me think of why would they have all that in there. Right now, 28 days into the shutdown, Senate Democrats have effectively voted to continue withholding paychecks from federal workers and critical benefits from American people over a dozen times. So here's the they basically think that they're getting stronger each day. But the polls are going up for the Republicans in the House and Senate. The polls are going up for Trump, and they're coming down for the Democrats. And so this is not the way they were hoping it would happen, obviously. So you have right here, you can see the 528. They need to get to 560, right? Is that right? Well, I'm not sure exactly what that is. But anyway, you can see here's the 12 times that they actually voted to keep the government shut down. Since the shutdown began, no Democrat votes have changed. The slight changes in tally votes can be attributed to the attendance. You can see here's a 54-45. So 54 votes is the maximum they've gotten. The only time it's less than that is when there's been attendance issues, right? But when you have full attendance, it's pretty much a 54-45. So they would need 6 more based upon the latest tallies. And so let me know. Do you think it's going to go to 61 days? I'm hoping for 61. and let me ask you guys out there on. And so T. Mitchell is saying Rand Paul is bad. He's a real Democrat, right? So again, he's definitely got a voting record that's massively conservative and libertarian, but Trump is not happy with him now because of what he's doing here, and so. Yeah, that'd be very nice if it goes all 61 days. That's exactly right. And I say whatever God wants is what Linda says. And that's what happened when Biden became the president for 4 years, right? I think he was a fake president, but I think the continuity of government was going. But guys, that gave Trump 4 years after this, and wow, did he come out firing with all the executive orders. He was able to prepare for 4 years to take this last year to be phenomenal as far as how slow government usually works. Here's a study. 91% of patients in the study show cardiovascular side effects from the Moderna vaccine. So the whole thing about myocarditis, and here you see vaccines are a tool for the public health toolbox. That is it. Yet if you were to listen to most vaccine advocates, getting vaccines is akin to a sacrament. And any doubt about the safety or the efficiency of even one vaccine is akin to hearsay and deserving of being thrown into a pyre, the auto de fe. It's insane. But that's where we are in debates these days. Whatever one is arguing about is really a proxy fight in a class war between technocrats and the people they want to rule through bullying. I happen to think that a little thing called evidence matters. And I kind of like it when evidence is provided to substantiate or disprove claims. That is especially true when the matter is something that has a large impact on my life or on society. And the claims made about COVID vaccine definitely fit into this category. So this is just a great article. You'll see it in the show notes. But the whole point being, yes, a new peer-reviewed paper from Taipei Medical University has reported that 91% of Moderna mRNA 1,273 recipients developed cardiovascular side effects during the observation period within 1 week of receiving the Moderna mRNA 1273 vaccine. Just think if they examined. So if you look at this, it's you can see this, the mRNA vaccine, traditional machine learning, pulse analysis. But again, they actually within a week showed cardiovascular side effects. So they're not safe and effective. They're not effective, we know that, and they're not safe. That's being extremely documented now with evidence. The effects are usually subtle, but that doesn't mean they aren't benign. People who get the vaccine experience a measurable and significant decline in arterial flexibility. So this is why you have heart attacks. Is when this is your arteries get brittle, right? And so not having arterial flexibility is pretty important. The hardening of the arteries that could have significant impacts on health long term. People are having to get stents, bypass surgeries. So the abstract of this is pretty interesting. I'm just going to go through this real quick because vaccines against severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, have demonstrated strong efficiency in preventing symptomatic disease, but adverse cardiovascular side effects have been reported. So that first sentence, in my opinion, if you go back and look at actual facts, is fraudulent. But that's what it was. These studies funded by the big pharma is sad. They control the research magazines. They control what gets funded, what doesn't get funded. Radical blood pressure waveforms were recorded 1 minute in 2003 individuals who received the vaccine at a medical center. Participants were categorized into 4 groups. No side effects was 18, cardiac side effects 45, vascular side effects 68, and combined cardiac and vascular side effects 72. Special analysis was performed on 40 harmonic indices derived from the pulse waveforms. This is one of the side effects and damage that we're seeing. It is pretty crazy. Wow. And it was lovely to see this all starting to be exposed. The real amount of illegal voting, this is Elon Musk talking about, is vastly greater than this. What's he talking about? He's talking about Ohio uncovers over 1,000 non-citizens appearing registered to vote, sends case for DOJ for prosecution. This is Secretary of State Frank LaRose. 167 individuals appear to have cast ballots in the federal elections in 2018. And this is what Mike Lee saying. Non-citizens sometimes vote far more often than many on the left have been willing to admit. Congress must address this by passing the SAVE Act now. And Elon Musk is saying the real amount of legal voting is vastly greater than this. And guys, a lot of these illegals don't want to come and vote because they're scared they want to stay in the country, right? And so a lot of them do not want to vote. But they're still getting signed vote by the machines. So that's part of this whole thing. If they can get Social Security numbers and the driver's license, like all these CDLs, these commercial driver's license that were given out by California, they all end up resulting in voting, even if the guy doesn't show up. That's what's going to be breaking. This says, breaking, my X account was wiped from search results after posting a landmark study proving that vaccines are the dominant risk factor for autism. So this is a whole study, and he's worried that censorship is returned to X. So this is an interesting thing, but here you can see here, this is the determinants of autism spectrum disorder. So there's a lot of things that can cause autism, but you see almost 50% of it is vaccines, right? So you can see there's a lot of other stuff that can happen. Like you can have an immune activation, myocardial redux, but you can see these are pretty small percentages compared to this huge amount of doses of the vaccines, right? So that the vaccine to autism connection is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's not going to be much longer until everyone realizes, yes. Here's a study. Pneumonia vaccine may raise risk of pneumonia. Now this makes sense. So you go get a pneumonia vaccine. So a study published by BMC Infectious Disease challenges current recommendations for the pneumonia vaccine. Research says people who received the shot were actually more likely to develop pneumonia. So this is why Sherry Tenpenny calls it the childhood poisoning schedule, right? And this is you convince and train all the doctors that these are imperative. You train everybody in the institutions, and you brainwash everybody to say that this is vital to have all these vaccines. And then all of a sudden life expectancy goes down. We're the most unhealthy nation in the world, and the big pharma is making bucks, and the cabal is getting wealthy, and we're weak, we're tired, unhealthy, and sick. That's exactly what they want of the people they're trying to control and put tyranny under, right? That's what this is all about. I know we're about ready to run into our hour here, so we'll wrap this up pretty soon and go to Word and Worship, where we'll worship, and I'll be teaching on Jericho. So you guys will enjoy that. It's the curse that was on Jericho and how that prophecy came true. Again, that's only going to be on the Word and Worship channels. You won't find it on YouTube. It's only on Rumble and Faith and Freedom TV. So if you're on YouTube right now, go to Faith and Freedom TV, and we'll be live there about 6:15, about 15 minutes. And then again, you can see it right here, and this on this top line, you'll see Praise and Prayer and Word and Worship Live. That's where we'll go. You just scroll from the live stream shows. But we have a 24/7 channel right now. It's I call it the Red Pill channel, Faith and Freedom TV 24/7. And you have the Growing Your Faith 24/7 channel. And you have events that we're doing, like November 1st, the all-day event of Open the Heavens will be on. You have this Take Your Power Back, California Government. This is November 8th, all-day event. That'll all be live on Faith and Freedom TV. Again, it's pretty easy. You can, this will be on your TV apps, your mobile apps, as well as a web app. The web app's real easy. FaithNFreedom.tv. Make sure you put faith with the N, freedom.tv. And that is really sad that doesn't even, I need to fix my lower third. That doesn't work anymore. And then, but anyway, then we have live shows as well that go live all the time on what we call the live shows. That's Resistance Chicks. This just shows live right now on here. So if you clicked on this and went to live shows, this is the web app, and hit play, you would actually see our show going live. I'm going to make sure the sound is off, and there we are, right? So you that is all on Faith and Freedom TV. We're bringing awesome people together. There's a lot of exclusive content coming to this as well. And we have a podcast channel, a Bible study guide channel, a word and worship channel. We've got Growing Your Faith channel. There's the exclusives with Larry and me, many other people coming on exclusive, and many other things, even Faith, Freedom Films, etc. 70% of this content is all completely free, all these upper areas. So go to faithandfreedom.tv, faith with the N, Freedom TV, just like in the middle of the lower third down there, faith with the N, freedom.tv. All right, guys, I wanted to talk to you about Rumble Premium one more time, because this is important to support people that are supporting us, right? And that's one thing. They've got something interesting going on here with this Rumble Premium plus Perplexity. Have you heard about this yet? I'm going to start this and get it onto a there you go. Now you can probably see, hopefully that's going to bring up the, wonder why it's not bringing it up. It's supposed to be bringing up the QR code. Let me see if I can fix something over here. That thinks I probably have to take off the done. Okay. There's the test campaign. So that one's that's showing. Darn it. See if I can get it to work again. It just is spinning on me. Ba-bum! There it is. So guys, if you're looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite contents without ads, get Perplexity Pro Bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st. Normally a $29.99 value. So you get $10 per month off of this. With Rumble Premium, you'll get ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content. No interruptions, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% with this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. My brother just swears on Perplexity. It's the best research tool out there. Again, it's not one that you dig into politics for. It's more like if you want absolute facts and great research, and Perplexity is the best, right? So go to rumble.com/premium, get that bundle, and I think you'll really enjoy that. And that is the Rumble Premium is what you'd want to go to there, and that it'll look like that. And you can see the Perplexity up at the top of the screen there. All right, now we're going to go into this Bible study guide here on the Faith and on the Word and Worship channels. Again, we're going to reviewing the curse of Jericho. We're going to look at the predicted rebuilding curse, they call it. And it's going to show how the Bible's so reliable. Right? This is day 7 in the 7-day series. It's actually a 35-day series in total for the whole reliability of the Bible series. But this is the 7 days on the nations, of the ancient nations. And we're going to we begin into the prophecy of the rebuilding at a cost of sons, the prophecy of long desolation before the rebuild, all the curse of Jericho. And really get insights on us for today. So that is going to be on the other channel. Remember, it's Word and Worship, Word with the N, Worship, on Rumble or Faith and Freedom TV. Faith with the N, freedom.tv is the web app, or you can watch it on all your Roku and Apple TV and Fire TV and Android TV, as on your TV apps, as well as on your mobile apps. And then go into the URL. The web app is beautiful on Faith and Freedom TV. We'll be over there in about 10 minutes. God bless you guys. With that, we're going to be seeing you shortly, and at the Word and Worship channels. God bless.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.